All right, we are live. I hope we're live. Pardon me if I have some technical difficulties. Our internet's been a little questionable lately, so this might freeze temporarily, and I'll try to keep a watch on it. But I'm hosting solo tonight, or at least for most of it. Kelsey and Catherine are on the road, coming back from I think a wedding that they did, so they should be, or they said they're going to be coming on as they can from the road, but you know how that goes. And so we'll see if everything works out and they get to do that. So sorry for the echo. Trying to share the live feed here on everything of mine so I can make sure that everybody joins in. We have different haunted doll groups. And since I'm going to be doing the usual spirit box session, but live, I want to make sure they can get on here and watch with us. So just forgive me a few moments. And while I'm doing that, I hope, because welcome to Abnormal Alabama and My Haunted Dolls. If you've not been, this is Abnormal Alabama, the show that we do every Tuesday night here at 7 p.m. Central Time. And we have a lot of fun here, goof on. It's not quite as fun when it's just me, but when we're all here, we usually tend to have a very good time. And I'm going to try to give you a good time tonight because I'm going to do this haunted doll very shortly. And we're going to try a live feed with her. She's a very beautiful doll that I obtained from the big Alabama antique store in Leeds. I can't remember the exact name of it, but I know it's got Alabama and antiques in the name of it. A big place, very nice place to go and shop, and they've got a lot of things there. It used to be it looked like it used to be some sort of a department store. You could even see where the snack bar used to be there, like you used to have in Walmarts and Kmarts. And I believe this was an old Kmart store. And who knows what it was before that. It looks like it's been there for a while, but it made a great antique store. And several of my items, or more than several, have been picked up at antique stores when I see something and I get a little feeling from it. And I say, I need to take this one home with me and see what happens. Most of mine have been sent to me from other investigators, people who are also dabbling in haunted collecting like me. So a lot of their items have been rehomed with me. And I have not ever rehomed anything. I've had people ask me, do you ever adopt out haunted dolls or haunted items? And the answer is always no, I've not done that. Because, here we go. I think I've shared everywhere because I get very attached to these items and the spirits with them. And I would ever hate to see one go. The only ones I have ever adopted out are ones that came from someone that thought it was scary or creepy, and it turned out there was nothing with it. No spirit that I could find or determine. So, though a few of those at one time I got to pass on to other collectors like me. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce you to this lovely lady. I have no name for her. She's kind of a tall doll here. Let me show her. I'm not sure what kind she is. I believe she's from the late 50s, early 60s, around in that time. Probably early 60s. She kind of looks like some of those saucy Walker dolls that I've seen from back then. I noticed when I was going to try to sit her down, she doesn't sit. She has to stand. When her legs move, her head turns from side to side. And that's what those little Walker dolls did back then. I have one of these. But this one, or I already had one of these that does have a spirit attachment. But this one, She is so clean and in such good condition. And I saw her up on top of the shelf, and it was almost like she was saying, "Hey, hey, look at me." I could see her over the shelves at the front of the store on top of this high display area. I think I had to get somebody to climb up and get her down for me. And she was reasonably priced, but I felt like somebody was there. And this evening, I was getting a sense from her when I looked at her. I'm thinking there might be a young, middle aged woman. When I say young, I mean early 30s, mid 30s. But we're going to find out. And I have, if there is any spirit with this doll, I want you to know I've got a cat ball here. Well, I turned it back off. A toy ball is used for cats to play around with, but we find it very useful in the paranormal investigating world. We've had some times this thing has gone off, and here on this show live, it's gone off. It's not supposed to unless somebody or something is touching it. See, and sometimes it's difficult to get it to light up. So when it just starts lighting up on its own, that's amazing. But we have the bell over here that you can tap. And I want to point your attention to, I brought back the yellow ball from last week. I set this out for the first time last week on the live show to see if we could catch any movement from it. And I think it did move slightly. I brought it closer this time. So, because I thought maybe the spirit last week, the ball was too far away for them to really want to go play with it. So I brought it over here in the light instead of over there in that dark area. And we'll see if it moves. So I need to get my ghost tube ready on my phone here. And I'm going to sit it in front of your doll. Okay. I'm just getting ready to bring it up here on the... Got a lot of apps on this thing. There we go. So it is on. Volume is up. So if there's...
Thanks, Jack.
Wow. Nice, Jack. Is that what it said? Nice, Jack. That was a child's voice. That was so beautifully clear and loud.
That might be...
Who is the girl I just heard speaking to me?
Shopping?
Shopping? Are you with this doll? Is this your doll? What is her name? My stomach just made a noise in case anybody heard that. Getting a lot of talking here. How many spirits are with this doll that's standing here in front of me? No. I hear you all talking, and I heard a girl first thing. And I thought I picked up on a young woman. Are you a woman or a child? Huh? Heard a grunt like somebody was about to answer. That was my hand. If you're here with this doll, please try to light up the cat ball here. Just kind of reach over there and touch it. You don't have to do much. Just get close to it and go like you're going to touch it. Even if you can't, it probably will light up and make those pretty colors. See that toy ball over there? Hello to Omar, who's just joined us. Thank you for tuning in. I'm solo right now. Catherine and Kelsey are on their way back from a wedding in Tennessee and might be able to join us on the way here from his car, but we'll see. So if there's any spirit with this ball, can you... Whoops, yeah, you're right. I meant, is there any if there's any spirit with this doll, and it seems like there is, please go over there and shove that ball toward me. I'd like to get that over here if you could. And I'm busy here holding the camera, so I need someone to move it over here for me. Even if you can just do it just a little bit, that would be so awesome. If not, if you want to just touch the ball here and light it up, we'd love to see that. Either one you want to play with, you're more than welcome. You can tap that bell if you want to. Ring it or just tap it. We should be able to hear it make that little click noise if you tap it.
And then there.
There is a spirit with this doll. I'd love to know your name. My name's Kevin, as you probably already know. What's your name?
Yeah.
Is there a small child with this doll? I thought I sensed a woman, a young woman with this doll. Was I wrong?
Good stuff.
So to the child with this doll, does this doll belong to you before you became a spirit? Is your mama with you? I was thinking maybe that's why I sensed a young woman. Is your mama with you?
Double.
I heard we'll double. What are you going to double? If it's okay for me to ask, how old are you?
And radio went out.
She's a very beautiful doll.
Whether you.
She's dressed like she's from the 1950s. Is that where she's from?
No doubt.
No doubt. Just to make sure I'm right, is she from the 1960s? I keep thinking that, yeah, but it's 50s, right? 1950s. Yeah, the dress sort of stands out from that time there. I noticed the collar looks like something that June Cleaver would wear. If anybody's ever seen the old Leave It to Beaver show from the 1950s, definitely, Something a woman of the
Never
night.
here.
Yeah, you're here? Yes, you are, and I thank you for that. I'd love for you to touch this tiny ball here on the table and make it light up. Or can you move the big ball on the floor over there? Kind of move it over here. Just, nudge it so it'll roll across the floor. No big deal. If you need any energy, you can. I have this camera in my hand that's got a lot of energy with it if you want to borrow some of that. And you can from the little flat box here, but just know I'm speaking to you from that. So I want to make sure we don't wear that battery out too fast. There's my hand. I have to mark, like if my hand gets in front of the camera, so if anybody's watching, make sure you know that's not a ghost going by the camera, even though that would be so sweet.
So wait.
It just imitated me, so wait. So how many spirits are here with me in this room?
The car.
The car. We have cars, 2 cars right behind this door here. That's the garage in there.
What car?
What cars? Well, there's my car, and that old classic car, which I bet you're looking at, is my dad's car. From 1979, a Chevy Camaro. Ah, Merry Christmas to you, Billy Bird. Doc Kelsey, he's going to hopefully be on a little later on with Catherine. They're on the road coming back from Tennessee and might tune in from the car if they can get somewhere out of traffic. Otherwise, I'm the host live from Chelsea. It's Tuesday night. Christmas is just a few days away. It's going to be Sunday. I can't believe it's already here. I'm going to be sad right after when we have to take our decorations down. To the girl with this doll, do you like Christmas?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Oh. What's your favorite thing about Christmas?
Talk complete.
I didn't quite make out what you said. Say again, what's your favorite thing about Christmas? When I first saw you in the store, right away I said, I got to take that doll home with me. Were you speaking to me in the store? Did you pick me out of all the people coming in to shop the antiques? Well, it looks like somebody is joining us here
Well, hello there, Mr. Kevin.
on a dark road. Hello there, Dr. Kelsey.
And Miss Cat Marie is sitting next to me here in this vehicle.
Hello, Kevin.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes,
hear
I
me?
hear both of you. Yes,
Hello?
yes.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Ah,
You all right?
Yes, I am. I'm just
Well, I don't know. You're sighing and moaning. I thought something was wrong.
yeah. Listen, you going? Hello, hello. Are you there?
Can you hear me?
Are you okay? Are you
What you
okay?
say? What you say? Well, we've been on the road all day. Still not home yet. We're just south of Chattanooga.
Oh boy, yeah. You still got a good ways to drive there.
Yeah, well, we do some crazy things, but people in need, we try to take care of them. I always say we're bad people doing good things. So we made a run up here to help somebody out and give them some hope and comfort.
Well, good for you.
And now we're online here so we can harass the heck out of our twerking Kevin.
Yeah, see, I told everybody I would be solo, but probably not for long.
Well, so where's your flute?
Well, it's over there, but I'm letting this lovely little girl here have her time.
Well, I'm going to drive in silence and let Catherine talk to you while you're doing your spirit box. She's a good spirit box lady.
I bet she can pick up what I picked up, or I picked up. I've had this doll for a while. I guess several months, maybe longer. It's just my first time testing her out. But I got her at the Leeds antique store over in Leeds, and I don't know. I haven't got a name yet that I've heard, but I sensed a young woman, but I've had a child speak through here, a little girl. The minute I cut the spirit box on, she said, "Thanks, Doc."
Try Lucille.
Lucille, Lucy,
Lucy.
is your name Lucy? Lucy, did this doll belong to you before you became a spirit?
For you.
I heard something for you. I didn't catch the first word, but it said for you. This is kind of a tall girl. She's over a foot tall. I was telling them earlier, I think this is a Stalcy Walker. And from the dress, the look of the dress, it's like
Pick
1950.
up.
She does look like a walker. Hold her hand up, see if she can walk.
Well, I know when her leg moves, her head goes from side to side. I know that. I hate to. Yeah, she's walking.
Yep, there you go.
She's walked over to the spirit box. That's back yet. I hope I can get you propped back up again. There we go. I couldn't get her to sit. Or, well, I probably could if I worked on her legs, but her head keeps turning when her legs move. Lucy, does this doll look like you? Different? So you look different from the doll?
You would.
Do you have blonde hair?
That looks strawberry.
Strawberry yellow?
Strawberry blonde.
Yes, Billy Bird, the doc is on the road there, as you can see in that creepy nighttime road footage. When now it's more lit up, it was creepier when it was dark with that one bit of area lit up. Lucy, would you like to play with one of the toys? You got a little ball or a big ball? Pick your choice there. You know what I should do? I should show under here. In case that ball rolls, you can see there ain't nothing down here, no string.
Yeah, you got to be careful with Kevin.
Bells.
Bells? Yeah, there's one bell right here. Do you like bells?
What else?
I like her little tan shoes. She is so, I was saying early, she is so clean and well kept. For as old as she is, there's not a blemish on her. I mean, somebody took really good care of this doll.
So did you wash your hands before you handled her?
Well, now as you mentioned, I did use some hand sanitizer over there on the way in, just habitually. I do that.
Okay, good.
So
I don't want you to get her infected.
not going to get infected. Got the pretty bow in her hair, little hairband.
Lucy be the first doll to end up with COVID-19.
Oh, look at Billy Bird says, looks like Doc is passing to the other side.
I am. I'm going through the tunnel of love.
That's that creepy look right there with the. Oh, Billy says, don't go into the light, Doc. Uh-oh, they froze up. They might have run into a dead spot there. I'll leave. Oh, I just heard Lucy from the spirit box. Lucy. And they just had to freeze up. I think Catherine would have loved to hear that. They said her name, Lucy. Little Lucy. Did anybody ever, did anybody ever nickname you Lucy Goosey?
I have $6. I want $6.
There they are.
We're driving. Must have gone through a dead zone there for a second. So what did Billy Bird say?
She said, don't go into the light, Doc. Right there. There we go.
Yeah, I know. I'm going into the darkness.
And right after y'all froze, she said Lucy through the spirit box. So, Catherine, there's your Lucy.
Lucy.
Little Lucy. Lucy.
Have you ever seen that ball move?
I have not yet.
But you've seen the moon move.
The moon move. Oh,
the moon.
The moon ball. Yeah, that was on camera, so yeah, everybody saw that.
Oh, everybody saw the video did.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it said, here I am, kind of fast on the spirit box. Yeah. You gonna try to move the ball for us? I brought it closer tonight, so you don't have to go over there in that dark area. Lucy, what kind of games do you like to play? Oh, it sounds like you like music. Do you like musical chairs? Is that why you played that piece of music?
Play that funky music, white boy.
Let's see. Billy Bird says when you aren't paying attention, Lucy said, "Are you going to take me to bed?" Oh, for crap's sake! Hi, Billy
Do what?
Bird.
Take what?
Are you going to take me to bed with you tonight, Kevin? That is not what he said. There, trust me, I would hear a full sentence from that. That would have got my attention.
All right. They'll scan them in there. You know that, right?
Let me see. Are you still here?
Into the darkness. Into the light.
Is there anything you'd like to tell us, Lucy?
Yes, it's dark.
Not you. I'm talking to Lucy.
Oh, I thought. Lucy! Do these people have the lottery this first? Oh, man.
Hi, is that you speaking?
Do these people have it? Baby. Here.
Yeah, they got lottery.
Okay. Go cash them in. Okay.
Yeah, one more distraction.
Move my bag away. It's awful quiet over there.
What do you think of those people driving on the road there on the other side of the train? Looks like they pulled a gas station.
Pulled into a service station. A convenience store here.
Did we tell them get gas, don't have gas?
You know, Catherine's got plenty of gas.
Yeah, we just filled the tank up.
Yeah.
Lucy.
Lucy!
Anything you want to say to us?
Where's Ricky?
The doll does kind of look a little like Lucy.
Strawberry blonde hair.
Well, pimps.
What?
I don't know what that said. It said something.
What?
Lucy, do you like to watch TV?
Oh, that's what I do. You like to watch TV? Does Kevin watch TV?
All right, we've been doing this for about 30 minutes. We're going to have to go to our stories. Is there anything you'd like to say before we stop? You can do. What can I do for you? What to do for you? Are you happy here?
She's very quiet.
Kind of quiet, so we'll go ahead and turn this off. If there are any spirits here,
Oh, she just needs the Zach Bagan thing going on here.
Yeah. If there's any spirits who don't belong, be sure to go back to where you came from, and all spirits back away. I'm going to shut this door.
All right, Lucy, we ain't got time to play. Say something now. Are you scared? Does Kevin make you scared, Lucy?
I'll go yelling at that child. All right, I'm going to count down from 5. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Goodbye. All right,
Buenas
Lucy.
noches.
Thank you very much, Lucy.
Bye, Lucy.
Goosey.
Lucy Goosey.
And since Billy Bird is on here, no Billy Bird, I don't know how to. I'm not going to twerk.
Oh, come on. Flute and twerk. Flute and twerk. Everybody now. Flute and twerk. Kevin twerk. Kevin twerk.
Let's see. I don't know how to play flute.
Oh, come on. Kevin, it works a lot better when you're twerking at the same time that you're fluting.
Nah, I don't.
Your tune is so much better.
No, I don't.
Oh, come on. Give us a Christmas present of Kevin. Get the spirit.
Christmas present and twerk yourself.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I think Kevin maybe have some, you got some scary Christmas stories for us?
Yes, I've got some scary Christmas, and that's why I got this scary looking Santa in the background there.
Ho, ho, ho.
Zombie Santa.
Ho, ho, ho.
And I've got some true and or legit, what's the word I'm looking for? Some true and some allegedly true Christmas ghost stories listed here. One of them comes with a photo that y'all probably will recognize. But the first one, a lot of people love mistletoe at Christmas time. You stand under the mistletoe and you get kissed. Well, here is a legend about a mistletoe bride. The legend of the mistletoe bride haunts England's Bramshill house. As Kelsey sucks face over there, and now he's got a Grinch in the camera there. So the mistletoe bride. The legend of the mistletoe bride has been retold for centuries and has taken many forms. While the story's true origin is difficult to determine, many have come to believe its roots are in the disappearance of Lord Lavell's bride at the Bramshill house in Hampshire, England. Allegedly, Lord Lavell was preparing to wed a young woman related to Sir John Cope, the owner of Bramshill House. Now, I wonder if that pronounced Bramshill or Bromshill. I'm gonna say Bromshill. Brom, like Brom.
It's Brom. Brom.
Hollow. Yes. So this was around Christmas time, hence the reason we share this story now. So mistletoe hung throughout the mansion, inspiring the wedding party to play a game. The young bride-to-be would hide somewhere in the mansion. The groomsmen would all seek her out, and whoever found her first would get to kiss her. So the bride went to hide, and the wedding party sought to find her. However, the men came away broke, and they still could not find her.
What?
Eventually, the game turned terribly serious.
What you blowing on? No more tickets.
No matter where they looked, she remained
not taking you to the casino. Huh?
Not until 50 years later did Lord Lavell, still seeking answers to his bride's disappearance, happen upon a secret closet in an upstairs room of the Bromshill house. Inside, he found a wooden chest filled shut with a lock.
Is that a wooden chest?
Upon opening the chest, he found the nearly unrecognizable remains of his bride. And that's probably also where we get the urban legend of the bride who locked herself in the chest in the attic while playing a game, and everyone thought she'd left the groom. And this sounds like it could have happened in Kevin's house. Nope, I don't have any dead bodies and chests in my house.
Well, not that we know of.
All right.
Nice.
So, next on the list is the Brown Lady of Ranham Hall, who wanders passages every Christmas.
The brown lady. Is this one of those racist stories?
No, it's not a racist story.
Oh, well, I gotta watch you.
It took place long before the liberals and the cancel culture.
I'm gonna cancel your culture. You don't get up there and twerk for it.
Oh my God. The
It's your
Brown
last
Lady.
chance before Christmas.
Never gonna get a full cold with Jibber Jabber over there. The Brown Lady of Raynham Hall has perplexed visitors and paranormal investigators for hundreds of years.
Hey, you're not with me.
Back in the 1700s, owner Charles Townsend married a young woman named Dorothy Walpole. While they lived together happily for some time in Raynham Hall, Townsend soon became paranoid that his new wife was being unfaithful to him. Eventually driving himself mad with jealousy, he decided to hide Dorothy away in the hall, telling all of their friends and family that she had tragically passed away. Dorothy was forced to stay inside the mansion only, or allowed only to wander through its halls. Not long after, she perished for real, never having left Raynham Hall after her husband imprisoned her. Ever since her passing, people have witnessed the image of a woman in a tattered brown dress wandering through the halls, and some of these reported encounters are truly horrifying. One visitor, unaware of the Brown Lady's legend, approached a woman in the hall only to have her look at him with a glowing face. But where her eyes should have been, there were only empty sockets. Years later, after numerous other reported sightings, a photographer from Country Life magazine visited Raynham Hall to document it for an article. After snapping a photograph of the central stairwell, he saw within the image a hazy silhouette that many believe is none other than Dorothy Walpole, the Brown Lady. And here's that famous photo. You've probably seen it a lot.
That's her?
Ghosts. Yes, that is the spirit of Raynham Hall coming down the stairs. The Brown Lady, which they call that because she's always wearing brown when she's appears more like a person. Here this is a black and white photo, but I've seen this. I mean, the first time I saw this picture, I was a kid reading a ghost book. So it's been around for a while. But that is the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall.
And where's Raynham Hall?
That's England.
Huh?
I believe it's located in England. Huh?
The UK.
Yes, the UK.
The UK.
Oh, UK, okay. Now we're going to come back over here to our country and up to Brooklyn, New York. Up there
Brooklyn. I've spent a lot of time in Brooklyn.
Oh. Alleged phantoms plagued a Brooklyn home during Christmas time. And this was a long time ago. A few weeks before Christmas in 1878, Edward Smith was at his home in Brooklyn, New York, when the doorbell rang. He answered the door, but there was no one there. This soon became a nightly occurrence. The doorbell would ring only for Smith to find no one outside and no signs that anyone had been there at all. Growing frustrated, Smith sprinkled ash and flour along the path to the door, expecting to find footprints left behind. But the substances were undisturbed, and the noises continued. No matter where he and his family stood around the house, the noises remained unidentifiable. Smith and his family were growing more concerned as the doorbell ringing turned to aggressive banging on the doors. Eventually, they contacted the police. The ringing and banging continued, and still no one was able to identify its source. One night, a brick suddenly flew through the window from outside, even though police officers were standing nearby and saw no one out there. Although they investigated the home for some time, police were unable to identify the cause of the disturbances. Smith and those who witnessed the strange occurrences ultimately concluded they must be paranormal in nature. And thus we have the Christmas poltergeist. Whoa.
Oh.
He's just there to give a ghoul-tide greeting.
So is that what they mean when they say the Christmas spirit?
Maybe. I don't know. That was in 1878 when that happened.
I tell you what we should spend the next hour doing here.
What's that?
Singing
stories.
Christmas carols. Caroling.
Oh, no.
Silent night.
No. We've already
Holy night.
Lord, we done lost everybody. Oh.
Chestnut. An open fire.
Lord have mercy. Now he's turned into a werewolf.
Here comes Santa Claus. Here comes Santa Claus. Right down Santa Claus Lane.
Oh, Lord.
The red-nosed reindeer had a rose.
Now you're breaking
Big butt hero. You're breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up. So your singing sounds like
Oh, a blue Christmas without you.
All right, I got another story.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
We might have a white Christmas.
Lord have mercy.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer.
Dr. Kelsey, anything for a laugh gram, everybody.
Oh, I'm just having a Christmas spirit fun.
He's having a Christmas spirit.
Oh,
Is
no.
Santa Claus coming to see you, Kevin?
Well, of course he's going to see me. He sees me when I'm
Yeah, he's got a bag of coal.
He knows when I've been battered good, so I got to be good for goodness sake.
On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me.
A partridge in a pear tree.
On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me.
Two turtle doves.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
I think I'm just going to read.
You know what I want?
What do you want?
This Christmas. I don't know where these other guys, whoever's watching, are, but you know what? We're going to have a frigid freaking no winter right here for Christmas here in central Alabama. I hope you have your pipes protected outside and plenty of antifreeze in your vehicles. And I'm going to hunker down.
And we're going to partay. Look, I got the party light going on. Whoa. Got the party light going on.
Look at that. There's a ghost behind him. There's a ghost behind him. Look.
A ghost behind him.
Yeah, see the flickering light of the ghost behind him? I don't care how hard you try, you still do not look like an angel. You still look pretty wicked.
Well, thank you
Sound pretty
very
wicked
much.
too. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
some of my favorite ghost stories are about the headless
Yeah.
ghosts because there's
Oh, the
something about a
headless
headless
horseman.
ghost. There's something just even
Is that the
extra
one that?
sexy.
Is that the? Did Johnny Depp play in that movie?
Yes, he did. He played Ichabod Crane in the
Yeah.
headless.
I like the
Horseman.
headless horseman was one of my favorites as well. Are you going to share that story with us now? Is that what you're saying?
No, I said headless ghosts are my favorite because there's just something scary about it, or that much more scary about a ghost not having a head. And this is
It's
one of
even
them.
scarier about a person. I think it's even scarier about a person not having a head and they're running around.
Well, here's you one. This one is a headless dog. The
A headless
story
dog?
yes. The story of Sir Geoffrey de Mandeville is brimming with political betrayals. He held the title of Earl of Essex and was a prestigious European landowner during the 1100s. Because of his title, he had great influence over royal politics at the time. However, when a debate emerged regarding the rightful heir to the throne, he chose the losing side and was promptly stripped of many of his assets and excommunicated from the church. During his excommunication, Sir Geoffrey was slain on the battlefield, but because of his exile, he was not allowed a proper Christian interment, which many believe left his spirit trapped within the earthly realm. Rumor claims that Sir Geoffrey also left a curse on the properties he owned, stating that should they ever be taken away from him, ruin would befall his betrayer, and every 6 years on Christmas Eve, he and a headless dog would haunt the lands draped in a red cloak. Ever since his demise,
And a red, well, what, a red?
Red cloak, like a cape.
Oh.
Ever since his demise, people who have visited the properties he once owned, particularly the Pims Brook Bridge in East Barnet, have reported hearing strange sounds and witnessing the hazy image of a headless dog barking through the fog, accompanied by a knight in full armor and a red cloak. And now I got another head. Now here I do have a headless horseman story here. Roos Hall, a mysterious.
You do have?
Yes. Roos Hall, a mysterious mansion in the English countryside, is rumored to be one of the most haunted places in England. Located just outside the small town of Beccles in the county of Suffolk, and that's, I believe, in England, the mansion has accumulated plenty of ghost stories ever since it was first built in the 16th century. One of the most horrifying stories is that of the Headless Horseman. Many people may be familiar with this legend, but at Roos Hall, it takes on a life of its own. Numerous visitors to Roos Hall have reported a man on a horse riding toward them on the road, only to discover that he has no head. Allegedly, on Christmas Eve, the headless man is often seen clattering down the driveway with his phantom coach and 4 horses. And this is only the beginning of Roos Hall's ghostly existence. Other rumors claim that there are strange markings inside the hall known as devil's footprints. And some have even reported seeing a girl watching them from the windows.
Ah,
Headless.
ah,
You can't
ah.
reason. Headless man.
Well, I've known a few girls that were brainless, but they had a head. It was only the brain. It was only the brain that was missing.
90% of men don't have brains.
Just clearly talking about you, Kevin.
Oh, funny.
You know I'm not Kevin.
Okay. We got
So
this.
did we tell the? It's almost 8 o'clock. Have you told about your famous books?
Well, I was saving that till the 8 o'clock on the dot hour, but I can
Oh,
go ahead.
okay. Go. No. I'm not gonna push you. No,
No,
you got
I'm
a
going to
plan.
go ahead because it's close enough to time to advertise myhauntedDolls.com. My Haunted Dolls flickering across your screen there. myhauntedDolls.com, where you can find my books out there about my haunted items. Scary, spooky stories that I've written personally.
Personally,
Supernatural novels. And then there's even well, here's another haunted item book there. That's the first one, My Haunted Collection. And then a part 2, My Haunted Collection, The Dark Side. And then my newest book, which for some reason keeps disappearing off of the darn photo list here.
because it's a haunted book.
It's a haunted book. Here we go. I'm going to bring it up here. Here it comes. This is an inspirational book. Fear not, weep not. Scriptures of my life and others too. So if you need a little,
So after you read his other 13 books, you'll need something to calm your spirit.
yeah, if you want, just get a little inspiration in your life. And let me go ahead and run this little thingamajig across the bottom if I can find where's the thingamajig section here. Here we go. Where is it? The little thing that runs at the bottom that says
He is lost. He is lost. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
I don't see your little ticker thing that goes across the bottom.
A wretch like me.
I don't
It's
see
under
your
brand. Brand,
I
B-R-A-N.
was looking at brand, but it's not there either. It's Van
Well,
Moose.
that's okay. We'll talk about it later. It's mighty fine.
All right. Well, anyway, here's the book.
Welcome to Fort Payne, Alabama. You can go to datingthedead.com and you can find all about the Dating the Dead book. It's a compilation of true stories that you need to read it. We have a very interesting relationship with death, and that's why Kevin does this show, is because he wants to talk to the dead. And that's what spirits are. They're dead people.
Dead people, huh? Ghosts, like the brown lady.
Oh, yes. Came back again. The return of the ghost. What was your favorite? Well, I know your favorite. Did you like Don Knotts?
I love Don Knotts.
Yeah, I love Don Knotts on Andy Griffith and
yeah. So he played in he played in a scary movie. What was that movie? He stayed in that haunted house.
Was it? It wasn't the Ghost and Mrs. Chicken.
Yeah.
Aha! I knew it.
You knew it?
I knew that's what we were talking about. Yeah, that.
I used to watch all his movies. My mother was in love with Andy Griffith.
Yes, I loved Andy Griffith. I don't know anybody who doesn't like Andy Griffith.
I don't like him. He very highly disappointed me.
Very highly disappointed you.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Because he
What
just
did
up and died.
did
He
he
just
sing you
up
a
and
hymn?
freaking died. No, he up and died. Of all the things, Andy, why would you do that?
He had to go on down to the fishing
He was a
hole.
good-looking man.
Yeah. All
So I
right.
imagine that Kevin has another story or two he'd like to share. Maybe, I don't know. Could he? Could it be?
Yes, more Christmas and Christmas Eve
I hear
chills here.
I hear whistling. I thought I heard whistling.
That wasn't me. Well, here's one that involves the famous Anne Boleyn, who was one of King Henry VIII's wives.
The one that just wouldn't sire him a male child.
Yeah.
So he fired the Catholic Church and started his own Church of England so he could get rid of his wife.
Oh. And Hever Castle is where this takes place. Hever Castle, which is nestled deep in the British countryside of Kent.
We're now passing the Scottsboro, Alabama exit.
All righty. Was once home to the Boleyn family. Anne Boleyn was the most well-known member of the family. Lived the early part of her life there before she married King Henry VIII.
Worst thing she ever did.
Yeah. Within a few short years of her marriage, however, Anne was targeted by dissent and gossip within the castle, accusing her of everything from witchcraft to adultery.
Probably was all true.
Eventually, her husband formally accused her of these charges, and she was ultimately executed, beheaded. Whether she suffers from heartbreak or homesickness, Anne Boleyn's spirit is said to haunt the halls of her childhood home, Hever Castle. However, she allegedly only appears on one day of the year, and that is Christmas Eve.
Why?
So, well, let's see. It says rumors persist that her somber spirit is seen drifting silently over the picturesque bridge that spans the River Eden in the grounds of the home where she knew much happiness. So it doesn't say why. Maybe she just loved Christmas Eve at home.
I don't know.
Sometimes memories trigger spirits to appear at certain times and places.
The pages of
And now we're going to go out to that famous prison out there off the coast of San Francisco.
Alcatraz.
The famous Alcatraz, because this story is about a ghost who supposedly disrupted a Christmas party at Alcatraz.
Well, if you're going to disrupt a Christmas party, that'd be the place to do it.
This isolated penitentiary, located in the middle of California's San Francisco Bay, closed down in 1963, but tales of those who were once held on the island continue to haunt generations of onlookers and visitors. Often referred to as the Rock, Alcatraz has gained a reputation for unexplainable and shocking ghost encounters. And one of the most notable was recounted during Christmas. Back in the 1940s, while the facility was still in operation, the warden at the time, who was Warden Johnston, decided to throw a small Christmas party at his boarding house on the island. During the gathering, a few of the guards began retelling the story of a phantom figure who appeared before them wearing a gray suit, brimmed cap, and sporting mutton chop sideburns. All the guards.
You'd look good in mutton chop.
Nah.
Turkey.
All the guards could do was stare at the ghostly figure in shock, and before they had a chance to move, the room suddenly turned very cold, and the fire in the Ben Franklin stove was suddenly extinguished. And just as suddenly as he had appeared, the Phantom Man vanished. There's your big happy Christmas party.
So you would look good in mutton chops. You know that, don't you?
What do you think I am, Elvis?
No, but you have the perfect face for mutton chops.
No, I don't want no mutton chops. This ain't the 70s.
Oh, you can save it. You should try it.
No, I don't want to try it.
Oh, come on.
I've had them get kind of long before, and it looks stupid, so I ain't gonna do it.
No, they don't look stupid. Nothing about you looks stupid.
Well, here's
Is that you look kind of stupid when you're not twerking.
You're obsessed with twerking. Find something else to
No, but I mean, I cannot get your twerking out of my mind.
That sounds like you got a problem there.
Yeah, I do. You're not twerking. That's my problem.
You got it on video. Just play that on loop.
Oh, Lord.
One group of ghosts from the Stark family has created quite a legacy for themselves. The Starks left behind numerous spirits that are now haunting a Victorian home in Ludington, Michigan. And visitors have reported numerous sightings, particularly around Christmas.
Did you get my other card?
One such specter, Vera Stark, was well known in life for her eccentricities and seems to have brought them with her into the afterlife. Those who claim to have seen her ghost say she appears in the front yard of the home wearing only a fur coat and picking flowers, just as she did in life. In addition, the ghost of one of the Stark daughters suffered a terrible mishap in the mansion's gymnasium can allegedly be seen walking through the halls of the home. The current owners of the home have even attempted to open it up to historical tours, but they apparently ran into problems. Quote, "Our spirits did not care for it being open to the public, and they went absolutely wild." End quote. All right, I'm about to get done with this top 10 Christmas ghost list here. Here's one about a spectral socialite who sings Christmas carols. Hotel Bethlehem, located in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, is home to a number of chilling ghost stories, not the least of which centers around a young girl named Mary Yo. Born in
Mary Young.
Yo, Y-O-H-E.
Oh, yo.
Born in 1866, Mary, or May as they called her, was raised on the stage, inspiring within her a love for singing and performing since from a young age. Her talent gained her much attention, and eventually she found herself performing with great success on stages in Paris and throughout Europe. She even caught the attention of a wealthy lord who quickly married her and made her a member of the British aristocracy. Tragically, her success led her down a dangerous path. Her marriage fell apart after the lord who swept her off her feet went bankrupt, and she went on to marry an American soldier who robbed her of much of her wealth. At the time of her eventual passing, reports claimed that she recalled her years in Bethlehem as the best of her life. To this day, Hotel Bethlehem visitors claim to see apparitions of a young May Yo dressed in elegant attire and either singing at the piano, Christmas carols, or pacing next to the Christmas tree. Some even claim to have heard her faint but recognizable voice singing one of her favorite Christmas songs. Of course, it doesn't say which song that is, but all righty. Oh, this last story of this list here takes us back to England. One particularly twisted ghost story harkens back to a tragic event that occurred one Christmas Eve in the late 18th century. According to legend, there was once a fearsome highwayman known only as Gilbert who would wander up and down one of the town's main roads. On the one evening, the night before Christmas, a man and his daughter in a horse-drawn coach when Gilbert apprehended them. The daughter was able to exit the coach, but before her father could disembark, the horses became startled and bolted down the road with the man and his coachman in tow. The two men struggled to get the horse back under control so they could go back and find the man's daughter, who had been left behind with Gilbert. However, when they arrived back at the scene, she was nowhere to be found. Instead, they saw Gilbert hunched over on the ground with a dagger in his side. Rumor claims that once the coach took off down the road, Gilbert revealed to the girl that he was the one who took her brother's life some time before. Thrown into a rage by the revelation, she stabbed him and fled the scene. Local legends say that Gilbert
got it in your hand. Hey, it's the same kind of guy.
He can be seen wandering the same road, waiting for the coach with the man and his daughter to pass by again. And I gotta take a little break here to see what this Billy Bird comment. It says, "Did Doc just run over a body? Did you
Just
run over
one.
a body?"
Only one. Only one.
I did not see that because I was busy reading.
I know you're not paying attention.
I'm doing the show. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Let me see. I got a good scary.
So there was out while you're doing. I'll tell you a true story that happened in November, not far from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And I'm not going to use any names. But it's a bona fide true story. I watched it as it unfolded. So there's a guy over there, and his dad owns a lot of property, a lot of land, and they use it for hunting and whatnot. And next to them is some land owned by a hunting club. So anyway, this guy would go do his field cameras, if you know what I'm talking about. And he liked to go out at night to do that because it seemed to disturb the deer a lot less by going out at night. So as usual, he waited till after dark and he went out into the land and the clearings and woods and whatnot. And he took care of his cameras. And then as he was walking back out toward his truck, he thought he heard somebody. And then he thought, well, maybe it's the people next door on the hunting land over there, that hunting club. So he kind of just didn't think about it, and he continued walking on. And then he saw what he thought was a silhouette of a car out there in the middle of his land, in nowhere land. And then all of a sudden, he heard a voice again, and it began to make out the outline of a human near that car. Well, it ended up as he got closer, there was a man there with a car that was stuck on his property. His car was sideways, and he was stuck there, and his car wouldn't start. Well, being the Southern type of guy he was, he didn't ask a whole lot of questions as to how the guy got on the land. He just thought, well, I just want to get this guy off of my land. And the guy said, could you please just help me get back on the road and just, I parked my car at this church just right down the street there. Well, he was quite a ways on to the property at this point, and the guy was still bewildered as to how the guy got on the land because it was a gated land. But anyway, he got his truck in a chain, and after a lot of going around and around, he was able to pull the guy out and then push him down to the main road, and he had to open the gate to let him out. Never quite figured out how he got on the land to begin with. But he got into that church, and then he went back and he secured his land. He thought, well, there's another piece of area that he can come through that's got a wire across it. Maybe he went under that wire. But he went there, and he couldn't find any tire marks or anything, so he just kind of brushed it all off, and he was glad that he got this guy off his property. The guy was, and this was all on video, you could watch it, the guy was really kind of a shady character that acted like maybe he was on some meth or some other drug. He was very jittery and chain-smoking cigarettes, and even had a pit bull in the car with him. And at one point, the pit bull got out of the car and almost, well, it scared the landowner. At any rate, he got the guy safely off his property, secured his property, and went on about his business that night. 3 days later, this picture shows up from over in Clay County of a guy that was like 40-something years of age, fairly young guy, that had shot and killed his grandfather, an 80-something-year-old man. And that picture looked identical to the guy that was on his property with that car. Needless to say, it ended up it was that guy. This guy spent some time with a murderer that was on his property. The guy clearly had gotten on the property to try to hide and conceal himself from the law, was ultimately caught, but this guy helped that man unbeknownst to him. And this just happened right around Thanksgiving in November, and it's a true story. And the guy that he helped off his land is indeed sitting in the jail awaiting charges and trial for murdering his own 80-something-year-old grandfather. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
So that's a true, real crime story from here in our state. Actually, the property and the owner of the property, I think the land was right over in Mississippi where this happened, but it was Alabama charges and all that kind of stuff. The guy thought he would get across the state line and be safe, if I remember the story correctly. But you can find that on, like I said, the guy was recording the whole thing as it took place.
Wow.
So there you go. You never know who's on your land.
Well, speaking of Christmas, my youngest nephew visited from Georgia this weekend to have Christmas with us, and he gave me a stack of journals here, 4 different journals. I said, "You must think I have a full life to be able to fill all this up."
Well, you're a writer.
Yeah.
So to use the journals to jot down your ideas every day, then compile them into a book.
Especially on Tuesday. Dear Journal, today I was harassed by a little bald man that always likes to make fun of me and work in and all that.
Well, I really appreciate the fact that he was little.
I got a good old story here. This just sings Christmas here. This one.
Does it have to be an old story?
Well, it's not old. Well, it's just good old. I just use a phrase. It's not old. This one's more modern.
I just listened to your words. I didn't know.
Good old, like the good old days. Okay.
Like good old Kevin.
This one just reeks of Yuletide cheer. I mean, even the name of it, The Bloody Axe.
Kevin likes that bloody stuff. He really, I think the Saul lives in his house.
Oh.
Yeah, look at that.
All right, I like this. This is the first person. I remember that Christmas when I was 8 years old as if it had happened yesterday. I remember how I would lie very still under the old moth-eaten quilt my mother made. I was wide awake and listening for those familiar sounds. The thump of the door closing, the front door closing, the clomp,
Bump, bump.
clomp, clomp of my father's mud-caked boots on the stairs, and the sound that to this day still fills me with revulsion and horror, the drip, drip, drip. Then my father would pass my doorway, and the light from the hallway would cast his shadow on my bedroom wall, and the shadow of the bloody axe he carried in his hands.
Oh
The next morning, I would eat my watery oatmeal in the wintry chill of our kitchen and ask my mother very slowly and carefully, "Where was Daddy last night?" She would just look at me with her sad gray eyes. I will never forget the pain and torment in those eyes, but she never said a word. After breakfast, I would set about doing the chores on our little farm. My father never did much work on the farm. He always seemed to be busy with other matters. On those chilly, windy mornings, as the snow began to fall, I had a lot of time to think. At school, I couldn't pay much attention to my lessons because I was always lost in my own troubling thoughts. When I got home in the evening, I would arrive just in time to see my father leaving, his axe clutched tightly in my hand. I rarely saw my father during daylight hours, and at night, all I ever saw was his shadow. I can still vividly recall that terrible night when I was awakened by the sound of the shutters on my bedroom window clattering in the screaming December winds. When I got up to close the shutters, I happened to glance over at the barn and noticed a shadow in the darkness. It was my father, and he was putting something into the feed box we used for the cattle. I returned to bed and lay awake long into the night, puzzled by just what I had seen. Eventually, I fell into a tortured and troubled sleep. The next day, my curiosity got the better of me. I took the key that hung on a hook in the kitchen and opened the food box. I remember standing and staring for several seconds at the foul-smelling, bloody pulp inside, trying to understand why my father would put parts of a slaughtered animal into the feed box. Then I noticed something that struck horror into the very pit of my soul. Justling out of the bloody offal was a severed human head.
Ah.
From that moment, I was filled with a nameless dread. I no longer looked at my parents with trust, but with a dark, creeping suspicion.
Why?
I began to notice things that had previously escaped my attention. Newspaper headlines that spoke about brutal murders and discovered bodies. Overheard conversations about a bloodthirsty fiend on the loose. Finally, I heard a boy at school utter two words that repeated over and over in my tortured mind: axe murderer. That night, my sleep was invaded by shapeless horrors. In these nightmares, I saw two images that haunted me constantly: the
Two.
face of my father and an axe dripping with blood. Unable to sleep, I got out of bed and crept downstairs. Taking my father's axe from the fireplace, I dimmed the lights and crouched in the darkness at the top of the stairs. It seemed an eternity before I heard the key in the lock and the front door swing open, then close with a thump. I listened for those familiar footsteps on the stairs. Clunk, clunk, clunk. Stepping out of the darkness, I raised the axe above my head and brought it crashing down. In the eerie silence that followed, I listened for the sound of any movement from my parents' bedroom. I hoped against hope that my mother had heard nothing. The only sound I heard was the creaking of the floorboards beneath my feet and the pounding of my heart. I looked for the last time at the headless body that lay crumpled at the bottom of the stairs, then quietly tiptoed back to my bed. Early the next morning, I was awakened by the sound of strange voices in our hallway. Silently, I crept to the top of the stairs and peered down at the scene below. A group of policemen were crowded around my father's bloody corpse. My mother was standing beside them, watching silently. No one was paying any attention, but when she glanced up, she noticed me. Then, very briefly, very discreetly, she gave me a knowing wink.
Uh-huh.
And that's the end of the bloody axe.
So I have always enjoyed driving at night. Usually less traffic. The sun is not bearing down on you and weighing in and tiring your eyes. And it leaves a lot to your imagination to travel, even on the interstate in rural areas that can see shadows and you can watch the night sky and who knows what you may see either on the long side of the road or even up in the sky. I've traveled and have driven all the way across the country many times and even down into Mexico and through Canada. And the sights I've beheld and the things I've seen are very, very interesting to say the least. Not always able to identify what you see makes it fun to leave a lot to your imagination. And that I often did because I could see a glimpse of something over there, just to the right, not far off the side of the road. Is that a figure of some sort? Is that a dog-like creature standing on its hind legs? Exactly what was that I saw? And that was the fun in great part of driving in the dark night. So one night, as I was headed across on my way to Texas on a road in the middle of the night, very little to no traffic anywhere around or in sight, and I'm going just a little bit under the speed limit, and I catch a figure walking along the edge of the road, not right next to the road, but almost on the grass over the shadow, the shoulder of the road. And I thought, that's strange, somebody walking along like that this late at night on the shoulder of the road. Let me pull over and see if they need a ride. Because sometimes you can get lonely and you will take maybe risks you shouldn't take just to try to be helpful to someone and, of course, provide yourself with a little company and entertainment to help you get through the wee hours of the morning when sleep comes on hardest, the eyes get tired. So I pulled up alongside and hit my window button and I said, would you like to at least get a ride to the next exit? And this guy was grateful. He opened the door, sat down, and buckled up, and I pulled off back down the road, headed in the same direction toward the west, toward my destination. And finally, he glanced up at me. He said, aren't you afraid that you could pick up a mass murderer? I mean, I appreciate the ride, but isn't there some fear of I could be a mass murderer? I simply chuckled and looked at him and said, "Oh, I'm not really afraid. I mean, after all, what's the chances of two mass murderers being in the same car at the same time?"
Did he freeze?
You there, Kevin?
There we go. Is that the end
Okay.
of the story?
You didn't understand the story?
I was asking, was that the end of the story?
Oh yeah, I mean, you heard the response, right? What's the chances of two mass murderers being in the same car at the same time?
Okay. The punchline.
Yeah, the punchline.
I wondered about that. I was like, wait a minute. Oh, I see.
Said the blind man to the deaf dog. Well, we just to update on our progress as we travel down the road here in the night time. We are now coming through Gadsden, Alabama.
Gadsden, Alabama.
Gadsden.
Gadsden. Well, we got some traditions we have around Christmas. Some of them have been around for hundreds, thousands of years.
Oh, my family does too. Yes.
One particular one, you always think of as joyous. You don't really think of it as creepy. But I'm about to show the creepy side of this story.
Please do tell.
This is called "Christmas is Coming," and it's a short one, but it's pretty thought-provoking. Christmas is coming. Each year, I watch you sleep. I like that you are still and breathing and quiet. And it's a game to keep you that way. Sometimes I'll move closer, carefully, running a finger across your sleeve, touching my tongue to your hair, letting my beard brush your forehead. If I think you won't wake, I'll open a drawer. I'll press a thumb into the contents and smile that you will wear my touch, unknowing, on your bare skin.
It sounds like a sexual novel.
Maybe I'll open a closet. Maybe I'll move something on the dresser, just a little. Maybe you'll notice. I like that you might not. The cookies I'll eat, because why not? I'll think about you slumbering in the other room and lick the crumbs from my fingers. I'll hold the plate on my lap and let it rest there. Eventually, I'll fill your stocking. Each gift I'll handle carefully, tenderly, before slipping it inside. I'll picture you in the morning, finding what I've left, and sometimes I'll have to pause and catch my breath. I'll think about this time last year and the year before. Each year is better than the last. Before I leave, I'll take a last look at you. I might whisper to you. I might lean close to your face and breathe hot into your ear. Merry Christmas. See you next year. Ho, ho, ho.
There are so many sexual innuendos in that story, I can't even begin.
Who knew that Santa Claus was an old pervert?
I'll tell you, I mean, that was full of sexual. They might as well just go ahead and say this is an X-rated story.
Bow chicka wow wow.
A little pedophilia.
Oh my God. Oh.
He just does that to the mamas, Catherine.
Oh, okay.
Not the little, no, he don't go to church, so he don't do it to the babies.
Yeah, when you're up there in the North Pole for all that long time, you got to
Mm.
satisfy yourself.
That's why Mrs. Claus sticks with Santa Claus. That North Pole.
Okay, Kevin, I got to tell you what happened to us Sunday.
Sunday? What happened to us Sunday?
We did the courtyard, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you know the dirty Santa thing we did Sunday?
Yes.
What are you drinking?
That's just iced tea.
Oh, would you like some moonshine?
No, thank you.
Apple moonshine's good.
You better not be drinking and driving.
I'm not drinking and driving. I don't even have it with me. I was offering you some, but you don't want it. That's fine.
No, thank you.
Wake up.
We went to we were in courtyard and we did our little gift exchange thing, which was hilarious. And I sneak off to the bathroom and I put my Grinch costume on. And I come out and I start stealing everybody's presents. Okay?
He's not listening.
This lady comes up to me and she starts dancing with me.
Dirty dancing.
Dirty dancing. Throws me up against the wall and pins my arms up.
And what's so funny?
What's so funny is she didn't realize I was a woman for a long time. She did.
She thought she was humping a man. Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay. You got any more stories over there, Kevin?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we still got a little over 20 minutes here, so I can do another one here.
Another one bites the dust.
This one is called Smee, S-M-E-E. I'm not sure where that name came from.
Smee?
It's called Smee.
Huh?
Smee, S-M-E-E.
Okay, that is the Christmas version of a s'more.
Oh, okay. Well.
Smee s'more.
All right. No, said Jackson with a deprecatory smile. I'm sorry. I don't want to upset your game. I shan't be doing that because you'll have plenty without me. But I'm not playing any games of hide and seek. It was Christmas Eve, and we were a party of 14 with just the proper leavening of youth. We had dined well. It was the season for childish games, and we were all in the mood for playing them. All that is, except Jackson. When somebody suggested hide and seek, there was a rapturous and almost unanimous approval. His was the one dissentient voice. It was not like Jackson to spoil sport or refuse to do as others wanted. Somebody asked him if he was feeling seedy. No, he answered. I feel perfectly fit, thanks, but, he added with a smile which softened without retracting the flat refusal, I'm not playing hide and seek. Why not? Someone asked. He hesitated for a moment before replying, I sometimes go and stay at a house where a girl was killed. She was playing hide and seek in the dark. She didn't know the house very well. There was a door that led to the servants' staircase. When she was chased, she thought the door led to a bedroom. She opened the door and jumped and landed at the bottom of the stairs, where she broke her neck. We all looked serious. Mistress Finley said, How terrible! And were you there when it happened? Jackson shook his head sadly. No, he said, but I was there when something else happened, something worse. What could be worse than that? This was, said Jackson. He hesitated for a moment, and then he said, I wonder if any of you have ever played a game called Smee. It's much better than hide and seek. The name comes from It's Me, of course. Perhaps you'd like to play it instead of hide and seek. Let me tell you the rules of the game. The player is given a sheet of paper. All the sheets except one are blank. On the last sheet of paper is written Smee. Nobody knows who Smee is except Smee himself or herself. You turn out the lights, and Smee goes quietly out of the room and hides. After a time, the others go off to search for Smee, but of course they don't know who they are looking for. When one player meets another, he challenges him by saying, Smee. The other player answers, Smee, and they continue searching. But the real Smee does not answer when someone challenges. The second player stays quietly beside him. Presently, they will be discovered by a third player. He will challenge and receive no answer, and he will join the first two. This goes on until all the players are in the same place. The last one to find Smee has to pay a forfeit. It's a good, noisy, amusing game, and in a big house, it often takes a long time for everyone to find Smee. Perhaps you'd like to try. I'll happily pay my forfeit and sit here by the fire while you play. This sounds like a good game, I remarked. Have you played it too, Jackson? Yes, he answered. I played it in the house that I was telling you about. And she was there? The girl who broke her neck? No, said someone else. He told us he wasn't there when she broke her neck. Jackson thought for a moment. I don't know if she was there or not. I'm afraid she was. I know that there were 13 of us playing the game, and there were only 12 people in the house. And I don't know the dead girl's name. When I heard that whispered name in the dark, it didn't worry me. But I'll tell you, I'm never going to play that kind of game again. It made me quite nervous for a long time. I prefer to pay my forfeit at once. We all stared at him. His words did not make sense at all. Tim Boucher was the kindest man in the world. He smiled at us all. This sounds like an interesting story, he said. Come on, Jackson, you can tell it to us instead of paying a forfeit. Very well, said Jackson, and here is his story. Have you ever met the Sankstons? They are cousins of mine, and they live in Surrey. 5 years ago, they invited me to go and spend Christmas with them. It was an old house with lots of unnecessary passages and staircases. A stranger could get lost in it quite easily. Well, I went down for that Christmas. Violet Sankston promised me that I knew most of the other guests. Unfortunately, I couldn't get away from my job until Christmas Eve. All the other guests had arrived there the previous day. I was the last to arrive, and I was only just in time for dinner. I said hello to everyone I knew, and Violet Sankston introduced me to the people I did not know. Then it was time to go in to dinner. That is perhaps why I didn't hear the name of a tall, dark-haired, handsome girl whom I had not met before. Everyone was in rather a hurry, and I am always bad at catching people's names. She looked cold and clever. She didn't look at all friendly, but she looked interesting, and I wondered who she was. I didn't ask because I was sure that someone would speak to her by name during the meal. However, unluckily, I was a long way from her table, or I was sitting a long way from her at the table. I was sitting next to Mistress Gorman, and as usual, Mistress Gorman was being very bright and amusing. Her conversation is always worth listening to, and I completely forgot to ask the name of the dark, proud girl. There were 12 of us, including the Sangstons themselves. We were all young, or trying to be young. Jack and Violet Sangston were the oldest, and their 17-year-old son Reggie was the youngest. It was Reggie who suggested Smee when the talk turned to games. He told us the rules of the game, just as I've described them to you. Jack Sangston warned us all, if you're going to play a game in the dark, he said, please be careful of the back stairs on the first floor.
Oh,
A door leads to them, and I've often thought about taking the door off. In the dark, a stranger could think they were walking into a room. A girl really did break her neck on those stairs. I asked him how it happened. Well, it was about 10 years ago before we came here, he said. There was a party and they were playing hide and seek. This girl was looking for somewhere to hide. She heard somebody coming and ran along the passage to get away. She opened the door, thinking it led to a bedroom. She planned to hide in there until the seeker had gone. Unfortunately, it was the door that led to the back stairs. She fell straight down to the bottom of the stairs and was dead when they picked her up. We all promised to be careful. Mrs. Gorman even made a little joke about living to be 90. You see, none of us had known the poor girl, and we did not want to feel sad on Christmas Eve. Well, we all started the game immediately after dinner. Young Reggie Sangston went around making sure all the girls were off, all the lights were off, except the ones in the servants' room and in the sitting room where we were. We then prepared 12 sheets of paper. 11 of them were blank, and one of them had Smee written on it. Reggie mixed them all up, and then we each took one. The person who got the paper with Smee on it had to hide. I looked at mine and saw that it was blank. A moment later, all the electric lights went out. In the darkness, I heard someone moving very quietly to the door. After a minute, somebody blew a whistle, and we all rushed to the door. I had no idea who was Smee. For 5 or 10 minutes, we were all rushing up and down passages and in and out of rooms, challenging each other and answering, Smee, Smee. After a while, the noise died down, and I guessed that someone had found Smee. After a time, I found a group of people all sitting on some narrow stairs. I challenged and received no answer. So Smee was there. I hurriedly joined the group. Presently, 2 more players arrived. Each one was hurrying to avoid being last. Jack Sangston was last and was given a forfeit. I think we're all here now, aren't we? He remarked. He lit a match, looked up the staircase, and began to count. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, he said, and then laughed. That's silly. There's one too many. The match went out, and he lit another and began to count. He got as far as 12, and then he looked puzzled. There are 13 people here, he said. I haven't even counted myself yet. Oh, nonsense, I laughed. You probably began with yourself, and now you want to count yourself twice. His son took out his electric torch. It gave a better light than matches, and we all began to count. Of course, there were 12 of us. Jack laughed. Well, he said, I was sure I counted 13 twice. From halfway up the stairs, Violet Sangston spoke nervously. I thought there was somebody sitting 2 steps above me. Have you moved, Captain Ransom? The captain said he had not. But I thought there was somebody sitting between Mistress Sangston and me, he said. Just for a moment, there was an uncomfortable something in the air. A cold finger seemed to touch us all. For that moment, we all felt that something odd and unpleasant had just happened, and was likely to happen again. Then we laughed at ourselves. and at each other, and we felt normal again. There were only 12 of us, and that was that. Still laughing, we marched back to the sitting room to begin again. This time I was Smee. Violet Sankston found me while I was searching for a hiding place. That game didn't last long. Soon there were 12 people and the game was over. Violet felt cold and wanted her jacket. Her husband went up to their bedroom to fetch it. As soon as he'd gone, Reggie touched me on the arm. He was looking pale and sick. "Quick," he whispered. "I've got to talk to you. Something horrible has happened." We went into the breakfast room. "What's the matter?" I asked. "I don't know. You were Smee last time, weren't you?" Well, of course, I didn't know who Smee was. While Mother and the others ran to the west side of the house and found you, I went east. There's a deep clothes cupboard in my bedroom. It looked like a good hiding place. I thought that perhaps Smee might be there. I opened the door in the dark and touched somebody's hand. "Smee?" I whispered. There was no answer. I thought I'd found Smee. Well, I don't understand it, but I suddenly had a strange, cold feeling. I can't describe it, but I felt that something was wrong. So I turned on my electric torch and there was nobody there. Now I am sure I touched a hand, and nobody could get out of the cupboard because I was standing in the doorway. What do you think? "I think you imagined that you touched a hand," I said. He gave a short laugh. "I knew you would say that," he said. "Of course I imagined it. That's the only explanation, isn't it?" I agreed with him. I could see that he still felt shaken. Together we returned to the sitting room for another game of Smee. The others were all ready and waiting to start again. Perhaps it was my imagination, although I'm almost sure it was not, but I had a feeling that nobody was really enjoying the game anymore. But everyone was too polite to mention it. All the same, I had the feeling that something was wrong. All the fun had gone out of the game. Something deep inside me was trying to warn me. "Take care," it whispered. "Take care." There was some unnatural, unhealthy influence at work in the house. Why did I have this feeling? Because Jack Sankston had counted 13 people instead of 12? Because his son imagined he had touched someone's hand in an empty cupboard? I tried to laugh at myself, but I did not succeed. We started again. While we were all chasing the unknown Smee, we were all as noisy as ever, but it seemed to me that most of us were just acting. We were no longer enjoying the game. At first I stayed with the others, but for several minutes no Smee was found. I left the main group and started searching on the first floor at the west side of the house. And there, while I was sleeping my way along, I bumped into a pair of human knees. I put out my hand and touched a soft, heavy curtain. Then I knew where I was. There were tall, deep windows with window seats at the end of the passage. The curtains reached to the ground. Somebody was sitting in a corner of one of the window seats behind a curtain. "Aha," I thought, "I've caught Smee." So I pulled the curtain to one side and touched a woman's arm. It was a dark, moonless night outside. I couldn't see the woman sitting in the corner of the window seat. "Smee?" I whispered. There was no answer. When Smee is challenged, he or she does not answer. So I sat down beside her to wait for the others. Then I whispered, "What's your name?" And out of the darkness beside me, the whisper came, "Brenda Ford." I did not know the name, but I guessed at once who she was. I knew every girl in the house by name except one, and that was the tall, pale, dark girl. So here she was sitting beside me on the window seat, shut in between a heavy curtain and a window. I was beginning to enjoy the game. I wondered if she was enjoying it too. I whispered one or two rather ordinary questions to her and received no answer. Smee is a game of silence. It is a rule of the game that Smee and the person or persons who have found Smee have to keep quiet. This, of course, makes it harder for the others to find them, but there was nobody else about. I wondered, therefore, why she was insisting on silence. I spoke again and got no answer. I began to feel a little annoyed. Perhaps she is one of those cold, clever girls who have a poor opinion of all men, I thought. She doesn't like me, and she is using the rules of the game as an excuse for not speaking. Well, if she doesn't like sitting here with me, I certainly don't want to sit with her. I turned away from her. I hope someone finds us soon, I thought. As I sat there, I realized that I disliked sitting beside this girl very much indeed. That was strange. The girl I had seen at dinner had seemed likable in a cold kind of way. I noticed her and wanted to know more about her, but now I felt really uncomfortable beside her. The feeling of something wrong, something unnatural was growing. I remember touching her arm, and I trembled with horror. I wanted to jump up and run away. I prayed that someone else would come along soon. Just then I heard light footsteps in the passage. Somebody on the other side of the curtain brushed against my knees. The curtain moved to one side, and a woman's hand touched my shoulder. "Smee?" whispered a voice that I recognized at once. It was Mrs. Gorman. Of course, she received no answer. She came and sat down beside me, and at once I felt very much better. "It's Tony Jackson, isn't it?" she whispered. "Yes," I whispered back. "You're not Smee, are you?" "No, she's on my other side." She reached out across me, and I heard her fingernails scratch a woman's silk dress. "Hello, Smee. How are you?" "Who are you?" "Oh, it's against the rules to talk, so never mind. Tony will break the rules. Do you know, Tony, this game is beginning to annoy me a little. I hope they aren't going to play it all evening. I'd like to play a nice quiet game, all together beside a warm fire." "Me too," I agreed. "Well, can't you suggest something to them?" she said. "There's something rather unhealthy about this particular game. I'm sure I'm being very silly, but I can't get rid of the idea that we've got an extra player. Somebody who ought not to be here at all." That was exactly how I felt, but I didn't say so. However, I felt very much better. Mistress Gorman's arrival had chased away my fears. We sat talking. "I wonder when the others will find us," said Mistress Gorman. After a time, we heard the sound of feet and young Reggie's voice shouting, "Hello, hello, anybody there?" "Yes," I answered. "Is Mistress Gorman with you?" "Yes." "What happened to you? You've both got forfeits. We've all been waiting for you for hours." "But you haven't found Smee yet," I complained. "You haven't, you mean?" "I was Smee this time." "But Smee is here with us," I cried. "Well, yes," agreed Mrs. Gorman. The curtain was pulled back, and we sat looking into the eye of Reggie's electric torch. I looked at Mistress Gorman, and then on my other side, between me and the wall, was an empty place on the window seat. I stood it once, then I sat down again. I was feeling very sick, and the world seemed to be going round and round. "There was somebody there," I insisted, "because I touched her." "So did I," said Mistress Gorman in a trembling voice, "and I don't think anyone could leave this window seat without us knowing." Reggie gave a shaky little laugh. I remembered his unpleasant experience earlier that evening. "Someone's been playing jokes," he said. "Are you coming down?" We were not very popular when we came down to the sitting room. I found the two of them sitting behind a curtain on a window seat. Reggie told them. I went up to the tall, dark girl. "So you pretended to be Smee?" I asked, "and then went away?" She shook her head. Afterwards, we all played cards in the sitting room, and I was very glad. Some time later, Jack Sangston wanted to talk to me. I could see that he was rather cross with me, and soon he told me the reason. Tony, he said, I suppose you're in love with Mistress Gorman. That's your business, but please don't make love to her in my house during a game. You kept everyone waiting. It was very rude of you, and I'm ashamed of you. But we were not alone, I protested. There was somebody else there, somebody who was pretending to be Smee. I believe it was that tall, dark girl, Miss Ford. She whispered her name to me. Of course, she refused to admit it afterwards. Jack Sangston stared at me. Miss who? He breathed. Brenda Ford, she said. At least that's what she told me. Jack put a hand on my shoulder. Look here, Tony, he said. I don't mind a joke, but enough is enough. We don't want to worry the ladies. Brenda Ford is the name of the girl who broke her neck on the stairs. She was playing hide and seek here 10 years ago. And that's the story. And I am alone again. Looks like Dr. Kelsey and Catherine left out a little while ago while I was telling the story. And I'm going to go ahead and leave out because it's 9 o'clock. We'll be back next Tuesday to maybe have some New Year shenanigans or some shenanigans to ring in the new year that's going to come up. Can't believe it's already been a year since the last New Year's Eve. Good grief, or New Year's Day. That is kind of scary. All right, so there we go. My camera went out for some reason. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight. I thank you all for tuning in and watching, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Until then, Merry Christmas and peace out. Hope you have a good holiday and stay safe, and we will see you next week. Good night, everybody.